Zoom, we could just preset it and it would record automatically, because when I'm setting up the screens, there's so many things to sort out that I completely forgot to do the recording. But thank you. If you can just do that, if one of you can remind me even before the recitation, because it's nice to have the recitation in the recording as well. So sorry, but today we missed it. Never mind. We will connect it next time. This one needs to disappear. Okay, right. So thank you once again. 10-2. Namai vidu suragana prabhavam namaharshaya aham avi devana maharshinam cha sarvasha. I need to just mute reply. Thank you.
Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin.
Sorry. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Translation? No, no. Translation is, neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. So Padmamalini will read the purport. You want to read from screen or here? Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Aye.
As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can understand neither his name nor his personality. So what is the position of the so-called scholars of this tiny planet? No one can understand why this supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and the great sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation, and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is clearly said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to the limits of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, or something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature. Or they can imagine something by mental speculation, but it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this. Although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present, he nevertheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God is as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is in the transcendental position. Because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation, out of his causeless mercy, he descends to show favor to such speculators. Yet, despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand, by the grace of the Supreme Personality, that He is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord, He is the Krishna. The devotees of the Lord do not bother about the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord, and out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even great sages agree what is Atma, what is the Supreme. It is He whom we have to worship.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'll just now share my other screen. Just bear with me a second. All right. So we're on to chapter 10 now. I'm just going to get rid of this square. That's it. Okay. So we continue reading from chapter 10 today. The opulence of the absolute. We just on the second verse, so the summary so far is just the one verse that Deepanam Prabhu did yesterday. So the first verse was saying that Krishna is saying to Arjun that because you're my dear friend, for your benefit, I'll now give you knowledge that is better than whatever I've explained so far. That basically was the main purport of the first verse. So the first 7 verses is the first section of this chapter, understanding Krishna's nobility and serving him. So we go on to today's verse. Today's verse, we already read the Sanskrit. We will just quickly remind ourselves of the translation. Krishna is saying, neither the hosts of demigods, nor the great sages, know my origin or opulences. For in every respect, I am the source of the demigods and the sages. So, like a father would know everything about his children, because the father has been there right from the day one, right from when children were born. So the father would know everything about the children. But we can't say the same about the children knowing the father, because the children will know as much as the father has told them about his childhood and all that. But he cannot know everything. That's logical, isn't it? Because the father cannot literally be able to tell every little incident that happened to him in his childhood. So this way, similarly, because the Krishna explains in this verse that because he is a source of the demigods and the sages, this is why the sages don't know fully Krishna's origin and opulences. Just for the same reason, just like the children wouldn't know every little detail of the father, similarly, the demigods and the sages also, they do not know every little detail. They can't comprehend the origin of the Lord. So here in this verse, aham adir hi devanam, aham, see again, like we were discussing on Friday, aham, Krishna is saying me, I am the source, I am the origin. And yet people who are reading the Bhagavad Gita, they're reading the same words, but they're saying, oh, when Krishna says aham, he means the supreme soul within him. So they separate Krishna's soul from Krishna himself. And as we were discussing last time, Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between his soul and himself. So here is reconfirming that. Aham, Adir, that means Adir, I am the root of everything. Everything sprouts from me. So often, sometimes people would ask, who created this world? So we would obviously we would say God, and then they would say, okay, but who created God? So this is the verse. These are the kind of verses that we will go through in the next couple of verses, where we can use these verses to explain that we all have origins. Everybody has origins. So I'm here because my father was here. My father's here because my grandfather was there. And you can keep going back all the way. There is always somebody is a cause for somebody else. But when you come to a person who has no cause, then that is the origin. So here that is God. So God doesn't need to create, doesn't need a creator. He is a creator himself. So this is the fundamental thing that non-devotees sometimes refuse to accept. So we'll look at a couple of verses that talks about that he is original of everything, right? So in the purport, the Prabhupada is saying no one is greater than him. So there's a verse in the 7th chapter that we did quite recently, which talks about the fact that no one is greater than him. Can anybody guess what that verse is? Okay, a clue. I'll give you a clue. 7:7. Anybody know this verse? Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mahi sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. Krishna is saying, O conqueror of wealth, parantapa, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So Krishna is saying that nothing is superior to me. That means that there is no truth. There is absolutely Krishna and there is nothing beyond him. Everything else comes from Krishna. And everything rests upon him like a pearls are strung on a thread. When you see a beautiful pearl necklace on somebody's neck, you will not see the string. But without the string, the pearls cannot exist. The pearls would fall down. So similarly, Krishna, although he is not visible to us, but he's the one who's holding everything together. Because of him, everything is happening. There's another verse. This is from Brahma Samhita, which Prabhupada quotes in the beginning of the purport. Brahma Samhita 5.1. Anybody know this verse? I'm sure you do.
ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सचिदानंद
Vigraha.
विग्रह अनादिरादि गोविंद सर्व कारण कारणम.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Yes. Let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadi Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So here Krishna is saying so clearly that Brahma is saying, not Krishna. Lord Brahma is actually saying that Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is a supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. Satchit Ananda here. He is the origin of all. Repeating what Prabhupada is explaining in this verse. He has no other origin. And he is the prime cause of all causes. Like I was saying earlier, we all have a cause. Each one of us has a cause. Everything that happens that is around us is there because of a cause. So when you reach to a person who has no cause, there is no other cause for him, that is the Supreme Lord. Brahma himself has a cause. Brahma was born on the lotus flower sprouting from Vishnu's navel. So Brahma's cause is Vishnu. But then Vishnu, as Krishna, has no other cause, because Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna. It's not that Krishna, in one sense you can say Krishna is the cause, but then actually in Tattva, there is no difference between Vishnu and Krishna. So that way they both have no origin. They both are the Supreme Lords. Right? So there's a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28, again a very famous verse. This verse is called the Paribhasha Sutra, which means it is like the key verse of the whole Bhagavatam. Anybody know this verse? When I say it, you will all know it.
एते पुंसा कले पुंसा कृष्णास्तु भगवान् स्वयं इन्द्रारी व्याकुलं लोकं मुह्यन्ति युगे युगे.
Very nice. Jai Radhika, thank you so much. I knew that you would know it. Yes. Ete cha ansa. So Ansa means like a portion of something, and kala means a portion of a portion. So Krishna is saying here that actually in this chapter, chapter 3 of the first canto of Bhagavatam, up to about this text 25, Krishna is describing lots of different incarnations, about 22 of them, and then this.
Hari Prabhu,
Sorry.
sorry to disturb you, but there is a gray box in the.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I know what it is.
Thank you.
Take that out. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so yeah, so those 22 incarnations that Krishna has mentioned, that he's saying that all the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says all of them appear. The last part of the last two lines of the verse, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Vidayanti Yuge Yuge, it says that all of them appear on the planets whenever there is disturbance created by the theists, by the atheists rather, and the Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So this is again a very, very powerful proof that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Sutta Goswami speaking this verse. So Prabhupada then says even demigods and great sages cannot understand Krishna. So the verse, and he says, Prabhupada says in the purport that it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. He said the Bhagavatam confirms this. And the verse that Prabhupada is referring to is the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we actually did go through last week or a couple of classes ago. Beautiful, very, very nice verse. Starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So although we did go through it the other day, I will again go through it. I think that day I couldn't get the tune right. It's a completely different tune, this one, because as you can see, it's such a long verse. So it doesn't, the Anushtup and the Trishtup meters don't fit this. So the meter that we've been taught goes like this. Janmadyasya yato nwayaditaratarsh chateshva vigna swarat tene brahmaridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat shuraya tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. So, long translation which we went through the other day, it talks about Krishna's origin. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So actually, when we say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's the invocation verse, and we always recite that before we start reading any scripture. So here in this first sentence, you can see the meaning of that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He says, O my Lord Sri Krishna, son of Vasudev, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. That is a translation of that invocation, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Then this verse goes on to confirm Krishna's as the absolute truth. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction for the manifested universes. And this goes on. But the relevant part for us here is that that part in the verse which I've underlined, Muhyanti Yat Surya. Muhyanti means to bewilder. So here it says, by him, even great sages and demigods are placed under illusion. So this is what this particular verse we are referring to today, 10.2, is talking about the fact that demigods also don't know him and they get confused by him. And there's a very, very famous pastime in the 10th canto with Lord Brahma. It's called the Brahma Vimohana Lila. Most of you will know it, so we'll just repeat it very shortly. So at one time, Lord Brahma was observing Lord Krishna and the cowherd boys sort of enjoying with the cows. They were grazing the cows and then they're having a break, they're having a picnic. And Lord Brahma was just observing all this. And at the mealtime, Krishna was so intimate with his friends that Krishna, like one of his friends would take a bite, for example, of a gulab jamun and say, wow, this is so tasty. Krishna, my mom made such a nice gulab jamun, please try it. And Krishna would take it from him and he would eat his juta. That was the love Krishna had with his friends, cowherd boys. But by seeing all those activities, Brahma got a bit doubtful. Brahma thought, how can the Supreme Personality of Godhead behave like this? How can he take somebody's juta? Also, when he was observing them playing, sometimes they would jump on Krishna, they would push him down, and they were saying, is he really the Supreme Lord? And he really got confused in two minds. So he says, I want to try and find out the truth. So what he did is he went and he with his mystic powers, he kidnapped all the cows. First, he kidnapped all the cows. So when suddenly the boys noticed that the cows are suddenly not nearby where they were, so they thought, okay, they moved deeper into the forest, we better go and find them. So Krishna says, you guys haven't finished yet. You finish your lunch, I'll go and find them. Krishna goes, and there's no sign of the cows or calves. In fact, in those days, they were calves. They were young, they were not old enough to look after cows. So, and then actually he realizes that Brahma has done this. So what he did was, he created, with his mystic power, he created all the calves again. So he expanded himself into all the calves. But when he came back this side, where the picnic spot was, suddenly all the boys are missing. So Lord Brahma had, in the meantime, taken all the boys away. So again, Krishna realizing what's happening here, Brahma is trying to test me. So he expanded himself as all the boys. And this went on. Apparently, this pastime went on for 1 year of the earthly time, because for Brahma, it was only a few seconds. He took the boys away, put them somewhere, put the cows somewhere. He came back to see, and then he saw that, wow, everything is still here. How come all the cows and the calves are back here? And he went back to check. So all that time, for Brahma's time, it was only a few seconds. But as we have read in the 7th chapter, time for Brahma and time for us is completely different. So for us, it was 1 year. For Krishna in Vrindavan, it was 1 year. So after 1 year, then Brahma realized that this is a mistake. Yes, he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm cutting the story short, really. But this way, Brahma then apologizes to him to say that I'm very, very sorry that I doubted you and all that. Because Krishna, at the end, he showed Brahma himself, or the Vishnu form, in all the cows and all the cowherd boys. So this is how the demigods, even the demigods like Brahma, who actually should know everything, but even he gets sometimes bewildered by the Lord's pastimes. Then it says, Prabhupada says, scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. They can speculate to the limits of the imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion. So see, by speculation, scholars, what they do, they are quite proud by nature, and they try and work everything out with their senses. They don't want to take anybody else's word for it, right? Too proud to accept that we have to take somebody else's word. So they want, I will only believe what I can prove, something like that. But that kind of attitude, they will be studying shastras, they will be getting knowledge, but they will end up with an impersonal conclusion, as Prabhupada is saying here, because they will not be making any relationships with the personal form of the Lord, purely because of their arrogance. So this is why they end up as impersonals. Prabhupada then says we can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, by studying these two scriptures with devotion, rather than the jnani attitude of speculation. Because Krishna, one of the names of Krishna is Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means something which is beyond our sense perception. So something that's beyond our sense perception, how can we use our senses to understand that? So the only way to understand is devotion. So Prabhupada is saying, by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, this is how we can understand him. And there's a beautiful verse in the 18th. The 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita actually is a summary of of the whole Bhagavad Gita. And there's a beautiful verse, 1855. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yasyashmi tatpata tato mam tatpato gyata vishate tat anantaram. So one can understand me as I am, as a supreme personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter the kingdom of God. So we can only enter Krishna's realm if we have perfected our devotion. That's the important thing to remember. Prabhupada is saying here, by reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, in that mood, we can enter the Krishna's mood. So there are three types of practitioners: the Gyanis, Yogis, and Bhaktas. This is confirmed well, there's lots of reference in different places, but the beautiful verse is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, where it is confirmed that so basically says Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Suddha Chitte Karaya Uday. It says pure love of Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entities. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this love naturally awakens. So each one of us, all of us, have this dormant love within our heart. It's just we need to just reawaken it. So it's not like the Gyanis where we can speculate and get something from the outside. It is within us. So it's always there. Another beautiful verse in the Chaitanya Madhya Lila again, 19th chapter 149. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ateva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. Because once you become a pure devotee, once you have reached that devotional state of mind, you become Shanta. There is no agitation in your mind. Because for the Gyanis and Bhukti means the people who are just after some gain. Mukti means the Gyanis who are after liberation. Siddhi means the yogis who are performing all the Ashtanga yoga processes just to get some siddhi, get some power, some material power. Right? And Kami, again, those who just want to do things just for their own purpose, selfish purpose. So all these people, because they have a motive, ulterior motive, they are Ashanta. But Bhakta, his only motive is to please the Lord. So there is no Ashanti. He is always Shanta. Because a devotee of Krishna is desireless, he is peaceful. Fruitive workers desire material enjoyment. Jnanis desire liberation. Yogis desire material opulence. Therefore, they are all lusty and cannot be peaceful. The devotees of the Lord do not bother. I'm just picking lines from Prabhupada's purport. Devotees of the Lord do not bother about impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord. So as we have discussed before, three aspects of realization of absolute truth. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yas jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaneti shabdyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call these non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. It's all the same absolute truth. It's just different angles of vision. So the example that is given quite often is that when three blind men were taken to an elephant, and they said to the blind men, touch the elephant and describe him to us. So one was at the side of the elephant, and he was just touching the side of the elephant. And he said, I know what an elephant is like. An elephant is like a wall. Then the other one actually was by his tail. And he was playing with the tail. And he says, no, it's not like a wall. The elephant actually is like a snake. And the third person was actually holding on to one of his legs. And he says, no, it's not like a snake. It's not like a wall. Elephant is like a pillar. So the point is, all three of them were talking about the same object, but from a different perspective. Similarly, people who understand the absolute truth as Brahman, not wrong, Paramatma, of course not wrong, or Bhagwan, all three correct. But what we understand is that Bhagwan is the complete realization. this is what we need to understand. So what I want to do today, dear devotees, is I'm not sure how many of you know His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj. He's our spiritual master. He was during the lockdown. He was in Ujjain, and he stayed there for most of the time. Just last week, when things started to open up and the flights opened up, he took a flight to Ujjain. And to Florida, Dillon in Florida from Ujjain. He went from Ujjain, he went to Mumbai, and then he took a flight to there. So at that time, everybody was saying to him, Guru Maharaj, please don't go because things are still not safe. You should still remain in Ujjain. And his reaction was, I've got my devotees fighting the battle in Deland. He's got a beautiful temple in Deland in Florida. And he said they are actually serving the people. They're serving meals. They're going all out and helping all the people. And I am stuck here. And whilst the flights were not open, I couldn't do anything about it. Now the flights are open. My duty is to go and help them. I can't sit here and sit in Ujjain and hide while they are doing all the work. His mood was so much about spreading Krishna consciousness. He has given his life to Srila Prabhupada. So early this morning we got the news that after arriving in Florida, he got diagnosed with COVID-19. He was rushed to hospital, and he's actually seriously ill now, and he's on a ventilator, fighting for his life. So I'd like to request all the devotees to please pray for him. We all need him very much. He's a very, very senior devotee in our movement, and still a lot of work to be done. So please pray for him. What I'd like to do is we'd like to recite the Nasim prayers before we finish. And I was going to sing it, but I don't think I'll be able to. Could somebody please sing that Nasim prayer for us?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I sing Narsingha prayer?
Yes, please.
Just Palika Devi Dashi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Palika Mataji.
Namaste Narasingha. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranakashe Purvakshai. Hiranakashe Purvakshai. Srilatankana Kalahe. Srilatankana Kalahe. Yeto Narsingha Arato Narsingha. Yato Narsingha Arato Narsingha. Yato Yanita To Narsingha. Yato Yanita To Narsingha. Ahe Narsingha Hridaye Narsingha. Ahe Narsingha Hridaye Narsingha. Narasingha Madim Sharanam Rapade. Narasingha Madim Sharanam Rapade. Tabakara Kamalabare na Kamadhuta Shinga. Galita Liranakasipa Tanubhinga. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tav kar kamal re nakam adhuta shinga galita liranna kashipa tanu binga keshavadita narahari rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya. Nrsimhadev Jaya. Nrsimhadev Jaya. Nrsimhadev Jaya. Prahlad Maharaj Jaya. Prahlad Maharaj Jaya. Prahlad Maharaj Jaya. Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gaur Haribol. Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, निताई गौर ब्रह्मनिते हरि हरि बोल। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जय श्री भक्त चरण महाराज की जय, निताई गौर।
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Palika Mataji. You sang it so beautifully. Thank you very much. So,
Actually, Maharaj has given so much blessing. You know, when I first met him many years ago, and I met him in Krishnapurna Mataji and Harivamsa Prabhu's house because they were living just next to Ramai Road. That was the first day I went to his house, and I was looking for Bhakti Charu Maharaj because I heard his lecture, and I said, when can I meet this wonderful, sannyasi? And then eventually I found out he's their Guru Maharaj. So I said, is he your Guru Maharaj? He said, yes, he's coming tomorrow to our house. And I just couldn't wait. I just went next morning and I spoke because he's Bengali, I'm Bengali, and we started. Maharaj has given me so much. I will never forget. And I just pay my obeisances. I said, Maharaj, can I put my head into your feet? And Maharaj said, yes. So I put he put his hand onto my head. You know, we are not supposed to do that in ISKCON, but then I was told that we are not supposed to, the ladies are not supposed to touch sannyasi, but he gave me so much mercy. We had such a wonderful conversation. So, when I heard this morning about Maharaj, I was just praying and praying so that he will get, I'm sure
let's
he's
just
going
pray,
to
let's
get
just pray that he comes out of this. He's a very,
Yes.
very wonderful Maharaj. He's so kind, he's so wonderful, and he's served ISKCON so much, so many years.
Thank you for allowing me to sing.
Thank you, Palika Mataji. Thank you. Okay, dear devotees, so we can go back to the verse today. So if anybody has any questions, any realizations, any thoughts, you can please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
I
Krishna.
believe Maharaj has improved somewhat.
Yes, the
That
latest
was
news.
he
Yeah.
said. Yeah, he's a lot better. He's off the
Yes.
ventilation.
He's still on ventilation. He's still on ventilation, but his oxygen levels are getting better. So we keep praying that that'll keep improving.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jolly Mata.
Yeah, we are still praying. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Yes.
Wonderful person.
Hare Krishna, Mukunda Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare
This
Krishna.
is Chandra Chaitanya.
Krishna Prabhuji, how are you?
I'm very well. We are praying for your Guru Maharaj. He's also our Guru Maharaj. He's always been my Shiksha Guru.
Of course.
I have been on retreats with him several times, and he's got wonderful Vaishnava etiquette.
Yes.
I'm sure he will pull through because devotees like him are needed, because there's still a lot of work to do in this yuga.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
our hearts are all with you, but keep praying, and we're also praying. Don't worry, it'll be all right.
He'll be all
He'll
right.
be all right.
I'm sure he'll
Yeah.
help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anything related to today's verse, please? Okay, looks like it's quite straightforward. Everybody is quite happy with it. So in that case, thank you all both so much. Thank you all once again. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I wanted to say,
Yes.
we all need Bhakti Chara Maharaj, because without Srila Prabhupada disciples, what will we do here?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You know, without them, what can we do here? We all need, you know, my Guru
Yes.
Maharaj, Swami Japataka Maharaj is already requested all prayers going on, and we all need all Srila Prabhupada disciples, all spiritual uncles, and we all need.
Yes.
We are praying, Prabhu.
Very, very
Hare
sincerely
Krishna.
praying them. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
family.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.
all the class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Just
Hare
wanted to say, last year we were at Maharaj's Vyas Puja, and we had so much from him, because my Guru Maharaj had taught me Bhagavad Gita, and the way he was speaking, it was like as if my Guru Maharaj was speaking through him. You know, that was the feeling.
Yeah.
And then we had his one-to-one, and I'm so happy that we were there. And then we did the Pushpanjali and everything.
Wow.
And
Very, very sweet.
he was so full of mercy.
Yes. Yes.
Mercy was just coming out of his eyes all the time we saw him.
Very soft-hearted. Very, very
So
soft-hearted.
fortunate, yeah. And obviously, I met him at Harivansh's home in 85, 84.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But he did okay, because we have been praying all day today.
Same.
for
Yeah. Yeah.
his,
Let's keep on praying, but because
and
this
that's
thing is.
what we will do. Yeah, we're just going to do Nashim Kavach now for him. And
Be all right.
we just have to pray. And whatever the Lord's desire is there, we just ask him that he gets cured. And because his mission was saying that he would like to spread Krishna consciousness. I mean, the people are asking in Bangladesh, in Bengal, for him to come.
Yes.
So his mission is there so he can't live without fulfilling his mission.
Yes.
That's all I've been saying to Krishna, that his mission is there, so you can't take him away, but keep him 100% rather than leave him 50% here and 50% there.
Yes.
That's how I've been praying, that he has to be here 100%.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. So yeah, we just have, because I've lost my Guru Maharaj, so we know how you feel.
Yeah, what was the name of your Guru Maharaj, Mataji?
Yes, Krishna Swami Maharaj.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes,
yeah.
yes. He was another wonderful soul. My goodness. I
Yeah,
used to love to listen to his classes.
yeah, very, very heavy, very powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. And I loved his Hindi classes. Amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, I met him also a couple of times in Devki Mataji's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mukunda, Prabhu, Dhanapram.
Dharma Pranam. Hare Krishna. Divina.